Let's talk about it. Joe Borelli joins us. Joseph, former Republican member of the New York City Council, a former New York state lawmaker. Michael Blake is also with us, former state assemblyman who, by the way, is a candidate for mayor. So point that out. Welcome both of you. Good to see you again. Joe, Michael, let me start with you on this. Is Kathy Hochul kind of punting today? I mean, how do you see all of this? Or did you just not expect her to take the action that would remove the mayor?
Well, I think it's been a little bit of theatrics, to be frank. The governor doesn't really have the mechanics to get rid of her. Mayor Adams, the mechanics were never going to work. I think this was just her trying to do something and pretend like she was acting in good faith, when in reality, she doesn't have the ability to actually remove Mayor Adams, and the politics don't work for her.
Well, that's an interesting point, right? As Michael, you're involved in those politics, not just you, but everybody's running for mayor, right? So there's part of this, and we could talk about what's gone on here, whether it's a quid pro quo and whether he should be removed and whether he should resign, as some people have said. But there's going to be an election, so the people will decide, and maybe they'll make you mayor, right?
Well, hopefully that's the case, and good to see Joe, of course. But let's be clear: Governor Hochul could have removed the mayor. He wasn't accurate what he just said right there. There was two options: she could have removed him, or it could have gone to the Committee on Inability. That said, the decision was made that you do have an election coming up. And to make it very clear, she said several times, for now. So let's be clear. Eric Adams has a leash on him. He has a leash from Donald Trump, from Elon Musk, and now the governor of New York, because no one trusts Eric Adams to run New York City. Period, full stop.
Let's talk about this on the quid pro quo side, because here's what I think is interesting. I have a Democrat and a Republican. I probably shouldn't give this away. I should just let you guys say it. But I'm curious to see, as Democratic mayor, what Joe says as a Republican about Adams now, and what Michael says about Adams now. But first, let's hear what Kathy Hochul had to say about the whole quid pro quo with the Trump administration earlier today. Here's the governor.
But there's a clear line between cooperation and coercion. Given how aggressive the Trump administration has been, including its attempt yesterday to dismantle a previously approved congestion pricing program, and how deeply disturbing the comments from the president's border czar were, we know they'll stop at nothing to try and exercise control over New York.
Okay, Joe, you take this first. I'm sure you probably agree with the Trump administration on immigration policy, which is obviously fine. But do you agree that this is also looking very much like a quid pro quo in the Adams case, where they said to Adams, all right, you don't want these federal charges against you, then work with us?
Look, Adams has changed his position on migrants going back about a year, when he realized the city had outlaid about $6.5 billion, that it was unclear whether we'd get anything more than the pittance that the Biden administration gave us. So he was pretty clear once he made his decision to change the path on migrants to stick with it. I'm glad about that. And frankly, I'm glad that he's working with President Trump. I mean, if defending people who are arrested multiple times, who are not just here illegally, but in gangs, committing petty crimes, major crimes, if dying on that hill is what Democrats want to do, then I'm here for the show. I'm okay with a lot of the things that President Trump, not surprising, is doing with respect to New York, migrants and congestion pricing on the top of them.
No, I knew you would agree with that. I just wanted to know how you felt about Adams. But Michael, what about you? How do you see all this?
Well, once again, a Republican can't just answer the question. So you directly asked a quid pro quo. That literally is what's happening right now. Donald Trump laid out in a memo for charges to be dropped so that Eric Adams could pursue their agenda. And if he does not, they would want their charges to come back. Let's be clear to everybody, the charges have not been dropped as of yet.
They're holding it over his head, essentially. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. They could bring it back, yes.
Even the judge stated that yesterday, that there was not strong reasons given thus far. So every second we are spending talking about Eric Adams, we're not actually spending it talking about the true cost of living for New Yorkers and affordable housing. And so right now, we are fundamentally at a standstill because Eric Adams cannot move without Trump and Elon blessing it, or now Governor Hochul saying what he can do. That is the problem why we need a new mayor. It's the reason why I'm running for this, because I'm the only one who has White House, State House, and city experience to lead this city through this crisis.
So it is interesting, Joe, when I don't know if admit's the right word, or say like the strange bedfellows here that you're coming on and kind of defending Eric Adams, but that's what I was getting at, that it's led to this situation now where all of a sudden the Republicans there for the Democrat at Adams, where they never would, they were coming on blasting him for months, right? Or years.
I've always thought the charges were very weak against Eric Adams.
Oh, that might be true, by the way. That might be true. And I think some Democrats say that he might have beaten the rap on that. He might have. We don't know. But I'm just talking about the way the whole thing. Well, I know that that's fine, Michael. You could disagree on that. But I'm saying, but let's just put that aside for a second, Joe. That the idea, even whatever the case is with the charges, the arrangement, the idea that they're holding over his head and that it looks like a quid pro quo. You don't see that?
Look, I mean, I'm not here to defend Eric Adams. I'm here to defend some of the things he's doing that I agree with. And frankly, I noticed that this wasn't a problem when he was indicted, right? Eric Adams was indicted in September, and a few Democrats said he should step aside. It was only when he decided to work with President Trump and make perhaps a silly appearance with Tom Homan on television that Democrats actually said, we need to remove this guy. It wasn't when he was accused of crime.
Right.
And that goes
silly because the comment Homan made at the end, where Homan was saying, I'll be back, it'll be little, up his butt. He literally said, is that what you mean? The comments that they made were...
Yeah, that comment wasn't helpful for anybody involved in the situation, at all.
Okay. What are you going to say, Michael?
Well, let's be clear. I was calling for it for the beginning, which is why I'm running for mayor. And let's also be clear that the charges are around wire fraud, bribery, and illegal campaign contributions, where he intentionally said in a text message to delete the text messages. So let's make sure we set the record straight. This is not about flight upgrades. This is a man who knew that he was breaking the law. And to the point around immigration, on November 2nd, 2023, he was literally, Eric Adams, going to the White House for a meeting, canceled on it to come back to help his team who were being raided. So when we talk about what's at stake right here, we desperately need a change. And the reason why I'm running for mayor is that we cannot tolerate the absurdity of what Eric Adams has presented to New York City.
One more thing with you guys, and it's separate a little bit from Adams. Let's talk more about New York and the president. Obviously, President Trump is from here in New York. So Governor Hochul, in the middle of all of this, when Adams was in court yesterday, as a matter of fact, you had the back and forth on congestion pricing, which has been a controversial issue here in New York, but the president says he's rescinding this federal approval for that. And Hochul says she should take it up to court. But then today she was talking about what she described as a revenge tour for the president. Here once again is the governor, and then we can talk about it.
I want to take a moment to put this all in context. New York is facing a grave threat from Washington. The Trump administration has said is already trying to use the legal jeopardy facing our mayor as leverage to squeeze and punish our city. The president's already trying to weaken our public transit system and undermine our state sovereignty. I call it the Trump revenge tour, and I have to stand in its way.
Okay, there you go. So, Joe, we'll give you a chance first on this one. How would you respond to that?
The Democratic Party has long used the federal government to try to influence the states. That's not something unique to Republicans. This was something President Trump campaigned on and committed to doing. And when he got elected, he's delivering on his promises. This is something that in my neighborhood, where Michael Blake is from in the Bronx, by the way, my friend Michael Blake, although I can't endorse him for mayor, it would kill his chances. But up in the Bronx,
he'd be done. He'd have to drop out right now. Yeah.
He would. But they're seeing more traffic and more congestion on the Cross Bronx Expressway than they were before. So this isn't something that all New Yorkers want. And I think
that's a terrible. Joe, you know, I don't want to make it too New York. That's a terrible example. There was the traffic of the Cross Bronx for 110 years, and it hasn't even been around for 110 years. At like 4 o'clock in the morning. So why make it worse? So that's the worst. No, the congestion pricing's in Manhattan below 60th Street, so we don't want to turn this into like 10-10 wins here and get into the blocks. But Cross Bronx is not the best example.
But the MTA study concluded that communities outside of Manhattan would get more pollution and more congestion as a result, and that's kind of the premise of why President Trump is opposing it.
Right, but the traffic is down by the numbers talked about it yesterday. It seems in Manhattan. So, yes. All right, what ended on the revenge tour, Michael? And before Joe endorses you, and you have to drop out.
Well, Republicans had a chance to change their party registration last week, but they have a chance to vote for me in the general election. Nonetheless, look, I'm running for mayor because of fundamentally the attacks that are coming from D.C. You have unconstitutional attacks of ICE going into schools and places of worship and community centers. We're actually not addressing cost of living, which I've talked about for guaranteed income. We're actually not addressing what's happening with housing and affordable housing. We're definitely not doing anything around public safety. And to your question right now, congestion pricing, it should have been done better. But eliminating it as opposed to an alternative didn't make much sense. We're actually now going to have more pollution and have increased traffic in these areas. And this goes again, we're not being serious about addressing the problems because of the distraction of Trump and Eric Adams and what they're doing together.
All right. There are important issues, obviously, in the city, but, we're broadcasting nationally. I think they're interesting issues, too, to people all around the country. We thank you both for coming on tonight. Joe Borelli, Michael Blake.